Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about Switzerland's role in the First World War. If you like today's video, please like and subscribe, and turn on notifications as I post more videos just like this one. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now imagine for a second you're a neutral country and you're surrounded by people of other countries fighting. Yeah, it sounds like it would be a recipe for disaster, and you would find yourself in a war one way or another. This is what Switzerland had to deal with during the First World War. During the First World War, Switzerland maintained a state of armed neutrality. Switzerland was surrounded by the Central Powers and the Entente Powers. Now I'm sure we all heard of the Schlieffen Plan, but at first the Schlieffen Plan could have gone through Switzerland instead of Belgium as it did. But it was put off the table because Switzerland's geography is very mountainous. Also, the Belgian armed forces were disorganized, so Belgium was a better target. Switzerland had to worry about its borders throughout the war. On the Italian border, they sent troops to patrol it. And more concerning on the French border, where fears of trench warfare spilling into the country were high. Switzerland is made up of majority German-speaking peoples, which made them favor the Central Powers during the war. But for the populations that spoke French and Italian, they sided with the Entente. In 1918, this did cause internal conflicts. Switzerland was blockaded by the Allies and did suffer as a result, but they still stayed strong and neutral. Switzerland was untouched by the war, centrally located in Europe, and neutral. This sounds beautiful, right? And it allowed for the Swiss banking industry to grow, and Switzerland became a haven for foreign refugees and revolutionaries abroad. Yeah, and people may think Switzerland was a weak country that didn't have an army and could be pushed over at any moment. The only thing that was saving it was its geography, but this couldn't be further from the truth. For one, the Swiss army had 250,000 men and 200,000 in supporting roles. Europe as a whole took note of Switzerland's military size, especially the ones considering the Schlieffen Plan. So one thing about Switzerland is that she can mobilize very quickly, when she needs to. You will also see this quick mobilization later, especially in the Second World War. Following the declaration of war in July 1914, on the 1st of August 1914, Switzerland mobilized its army, and by the 7th, one of the generals had about 220,000 men under his command. By the 11th of August 1914, majority of the army had been deployed on the border with France, with smaller units on the southern and eastern borders. This remained unchanged until May 1915, when Italy joined the war on the side of the Entente. Then a good portion of troops needed to leave France and be put on the southern border. But after Switzerland knew that she would be okay during all this, the army started to shrink. By November 1916, the Swiss army only had about 38,000 men, and many returned to their farms and to vital industries. The Swiss army did briefly increase to 100,000 again because of a proposed French attack, but this never happened. Because of widespread workers' strikes, at the end of the war, the Swiss army had shrunken to 12,500 men. Switzerland became a gold pot for many politicians, artists, pacifists, and thinkers. Bern, Zurich, and Geneva were big centers in the country. In Zurich, the Bolsheviks and the Dadaists would bring lasting changes to the world, and they both stepped foot in the city. Now this guy needs no introduction, Vladimir Lenin. Now Vladimir Lenin called World War I the imperialist war. He said it should be turned into a civil war between the classes, and he was stunned when he found Marxists supporting their various countries. He believed that peasants and workers were fighting for their class enemies. When the First World War started in 1914, Lenin left Austria and fled to Switzerland until 1917, when the February Revolution took place and the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II. He left Switzerland for Petrograd and shortly led the October Revolution of 1917. Also in the year 1917, Switzerland had a problem when it came to its neutrality, when the Grimm-Hoffmann affair came into play. To summarize, Robert Grimm, a Swiss socialist politician, traveled to Russia, and he tried to negotiate peace between Russia and Germany in an attempt to end the war on the Eastern Front. He traveled to Russia as an activist and did it under socialism and pacifism, misrepresenting himself as a diplomat and a representative of the Swiss government. Surprisingly, he actually made progress, but he had to admit to fraud and return home. And that's where we end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification button as I post more videos just like this one. And have a good day. God bless.